you ever.
Here we go. Hi everyone, this is Elise, and welcome back to this episode of Beyond Business Conversations with interview series with women who have it all. So today I have Karrol with me. She's originally from the Philippines and now she's in the States. And today's conversation is going to be so interesting because she's in the medical field, the scientific, the very grounding, all about the research. And yet we're talking about spirituality. It's going to be a very yummy session today. I'm going to drill her on all those why the research didn't work and so on and so forth. But anyway, so if you're new to my work, my name is Elise and you can find me at elise-n.com, and I help spiritual entrepreneurs with their money marketing mindset so that they can have the guts and confidence to raise their rates, charge what they're worth, and actually get it and, spread their message out there in a much bigger way, make good money consistently to live the rich life. So today I have Karrol with me, as you know, and without further ado, let me warmly and welcome Karrol and let her tell you more about herself and her journey, why science wasn't the answer to her question. And I asked her, so what's the question? The question is, what is life, right? Everyone at some point in time in their lives will be asking, so what's life all about? What's my life purpose? What the hell am I doing here? And so as a young woman, she thought that science was her way, don't we all, right? And then she found out that it didn't give her the answer that she wanted. So, and that's why she dabbled into spirituality. So without further ado, Karrol, hello.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Elise, for having me. So let me begin and tell you about where I started. When I was a child, I was really interested about life. What was my purpose? I really had that questioning ever since I was really young. So, I started researching, I started looking at books. And then when I thought about what I wanted to do when I was little, like, okay, what do I want to be when I grow up? I decided that I would go for science because science is supposed to have your answers. Science is supposed to give you evidence. So I went into biology and psychology in college, and then, after a while, I just felt like, even though I finished with that degree, it just wasn't answering the questions that I, had wanted and had asked myself and had asked, kind of outside the world. When I looked into spirituality, I was like, okay, I think I'm going to find my answers in spirituality. I'm going to find it not in necessarily the scientific methods because, in biology, it's supposed to be the study of life. But it didn't answer the question, what is my purpose? It didn't answer what I'm supposed to be doing. So, I got more and more into my spirituality. I started taking training in energy healing and intuition and, and delving into my inner self, meditation. And from there, I just felt like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be. And even though I have a lot of respect and I continue to feel like science is important, I feel like there has to be a balance between science and spirituality, because there, between the two things, is where you'll find answers.
Mm-hmm. So what did you discover in biology? Did you find any answers at all, or it was a complete no? What did you learn from biology that helped you in your spiritual journey?
So biology for me, it was exciting. It was fun. I actually really, really enjoyed it. It did answer a lot of questions of technical things, like how things worked. Why does this grow, or why do organisms and cells, like that for me, it answered a lot of nitty-gritty, reality-based kind of things. But it didn't answer questions like philosophy, and it didn't really answer what is out there in terms of beyond belief. Because for me, there's faith and there's just an inner knowing that you don't necessarily need to see something or have like physical evidence to know it's there. And that for me is not what biology answered.
So I want to ask you something. So, did you find God in biology? Because I'm sure you see the atoms and the cells and, I don't know. I mean, that's how in like third grade or the fifth grade, and you see
Mhm.
under the microscope, and then that's how they move, right? So, did you, are you amazed like God actually created this? And did you find God in your experiments and your research?
That's really an interesting question. I never asked myself that, but thinking about it, I can find God in looking at things because to me that it is amazing about how things are and how things exist. That's something for me that I always question. Like it's a beautiful thing why we're here and the fact that we are here. But when I was actually doing the experiments and doing science, I didn't really see it that way. I didn't really approach like scientific methods in a way that, oh, I'm looking for God through this. So I never actually asked myself that, but looking at it now, if I look at it from that point of view, oh, it's like really beautiful. So I can see a way to approach science with spirituality, which is something we don't do now.
Okay. So, since you're in the medical field, I want to ask like, so most people when they have some kind of aches, pains, the first thing they go to is get an X-ray, go see a doctor. But time and time again, we hear stories about the medical field didn't save me, it didn't help me, but yet they found answers through like the alternative medicine, the alternative therapies. So, do you have anything to say about that? Do you know like why? Is it all really in the mind?
So, my role in the medical field is I actually didn't enter into medicine, even though that was my initial goal, but because I was really pulled towards spirituality, I decided that I wanted to support medical students and doctors and that I would help medical students serve others. So, that is what my role right now. But I definitely feel like, um, spirituality and alternative and complementary medicine uh, is playing a big role and is increasing every day in terms of being accepted in society. So, I feel like, for example, Reiki is one of those therapies that is used in hospitals now,
Mm.
and it's been really helpful to help relax and to help provide comfort to patients. So I think that more research needs to be done, more of an acceptance that spirituality and that energy healing and other forms of medicine, which is actually what like say Aborigine and cultures like old cultures, we really have to kind of look back at what they did before. Because even though we've made leaps and bounds in medicine, we also have to acknowledge the fact that there were certain things that worked in the past with herbs and with faith healing that actually did work. But, because science has a certain way of um, only looking at evidence that is physical sometimes, that they don't look at, the beyond, and um, that is something I think that's been overlooked.
So was it, I mean, it took such a long time for the medical field to actually accept this because Reiki, like faith healing, it's not something that you can touch, it's not something that you can see. So with
Mm-hmm.
the doctors, with the medical field, it's all about research, tangible results. So, I mean, it's a great thing that, the hospitals are actually accepting it. Was the journey to this acceptance hard and like are the doctors skeptical? I'm sure some must be skeptical.
Mm-hmm.
How are the doctors reacting in your hospital?
I think from my experience, it did take a long time. There are certainly um, individuals who are pushing more and more for alternative and complementary therapies. So, like John Kabat-Zinn with his work. But yeah, I mean, it definitely takes time. right now there are definitely doctors who don't accept that kind of work into their field, but then there are those who really acknowledge it and embrace it. I think cancer, looking into cancer, a lot of cancer oncologists, I feel, are more open because they know that it really helps. Well, this is from my experience, but they know that it helps patients come to a place where they're aware of themselves and they're aware of their bodies, and it just brings comfort and relaxation, which is very important to the healing process.
Okay, so I want to ask you. So, what do you what do you feel about placebos? Like Dr. Bruce Lipton, he is a doctor, he's a medical doctor. He wrote the book, The Biology of Belief, right? And he had this experiment where two groups, right? They have this knee surgery thing, and the exact same process. So one group, they actually performed the actual surgery, but the patients were kept awake, right? And then they have the screen and they showed exactly how it happened. Now, the other group, none of it happened. None of the surgery actually happened. They just showed them the clip, but yet the same kind of like recovery happened, right? So that was a pretty amazing discovery. So what do you feel about placebo?
So I think that is something that definitely needs to be looked at more in research. For me, placebo, I mean, there's lots of things that people are looking at with regards to that, but it's all about, I mean, the way I feel how it works is the fact that people have faith and that they are willing to trust the universe, to trust what they believe in, to trust their inner healer, really is what is at work. Because, for me, an individual who, doesn't feel like things are going to work, if they're coming from that kind of place, then, it's going to be harder for them. But these individuals feel like they're getting help, and that's why the placebo is working. Because it's finding that healer and knowing that because we are all natural healers and that we all have an ability to heal ourselves, it comes into fruition. That's what I think.
Awesome. So tell me, what do you feel about spirituality? What's your journey with spirituality?
Oh, wow. For me, my journey has been something that's been amazing and wonderful and beautiful. It's also had its ups and downs because you still, sometimes things happen that are very difficult, and, it does question your spirituality. It questions your beliefs. But, for my journey, I think it's definitely an ongoing process. So I think right where I am right now is I'm more accepting, more aware, because when you're a child and you're not fully aware yet of your spirituality, it can be a time of questioning and a time of really trying to find out who you are. And so I think from my point of view, my journey has been very fruitful and very it's definitely been something I sometimes I can't put it into words because I don't know, it's just this thing, this feeling, this force, which is, I think source and just being one with everything. I think that for me has been the journey of understanding that.
So I know you said that you told me that your spiritual journey actually began learning from your mom, modeling her. So how was that journey for you? How old were you then when you actually discovered, hey, this is actually spirituality? And to actually realize, oh, my mom's not cuckoo, and that sort of thing. And I think right now more and more people are opening up to spirituality. More and more people are accepting that this is another way of life versus just chasing. I think people may not know that this is, I mean, to us this is spiritual. This is spirituality, but to them it may not be they may not term it as this, but if you do like mindfulness and if you do whatever, to us that's spiritual, right? So tell us how did that got started for you, and did you see a evolution change as the years go by?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, like I said, I've always been very spiritual, very questioning, always wondering what the world was about and what the universe was about. So, I don't even know when it started. It just was for me. So, when I was a child, I would go into my parents' room and I would look at all my mom's metaphysical and spiritual books. I would just peek through them because I thought that it was like a secret and that I wasn't allowed to be in there to look at them. And then, at first, I wouldn't really like ask my mom about any of that because I thought, like you said, oh, is my mom like, is she some sort of witch or something? Like I wasn't really sure. So yeah, so eventually, once I became more confident in the fact that I wanted answers, I started approaching her about certain topics and, my thoughts about it. One of the things that really resonated with me was reincarnation. So I started asking her about that. Like, I would have certain dreams about like past things, and like these past lives that I know now that I've had. At first I thought, oh, am I crazy or something? Is this, but when I talked to her about it, she really opened up the world of spirituality for me because she has been my role model in terms of questioning and just searching for my own truth and my own answers. And I think that was what was really important for me, is no matter what I read in books, no matter what other people's experiences are, it really has been about my own experience and what I view the world and how I view the world and how I interpret my experiences. That is the true journey for someone who's looking into spirituality. So yeah, I guess it evolved from looking at books and trying to take on other people's spirituality when I thought that, okay, if I follow these other people, I would understand more. It evolved from that to, okay, I need to find myself, who I am. I need to realize my authentic truth and then embody it. So I actually did not really start embodying who I was until a couple months ago when I started the coaching program, because that was when I realized that I kind of started stepping into who I was, and the fact that I had been denying myself kind of my authentic truth and really living that truth. So now things have started to evolve really fast, and I feel like things are accelerating, and I feel like the journey has it never ends, but it's the new things that come up are just it's amazing and it's wonderful, and I'm looking forward to continuing to share my experiences and helping others realize that it's their own experience that is the most important thing.
So, I mean, you must have like also observed, like, I think the spiritual realm, the spiritual people, when I started my spiritual journey, it was people thought I was crazy, but now more and more and more people are coming up. And, you said something really interesting where embodying your truth, like there's so many versions of spirituality, right? I mean, it's hard to keep up, and obviously there's levels of spirituality as well. So being a spiritual seeker right now, so are there any disagreements with your spirituality with you and your mom? Are there like, do you like, but it's not supposed to be like this, oh, but it's not supposed to be like this? Have you had conversations like that with her?
Oh yes, definitely. I mean, I remember a few conversations we had when I was younger, and that was when I hadn't really come into my own yet, and I think one of them was around money. It was whether or not money is energy.
Mm.
And for some reason at that time I was like, money isn't energy. It's just a thing. And I didn't realize. I know for me, I didn't realize at that point that everything is energy, and that is my actual stance right now. That I feel like everything is energy. And at that time, I was just like, oh, money is just a physical thing. It's it doesn't have any meaning unless you put meaning to it, and that was my point of view. And I remember we had argued about that. So that for me at that time, that was one argument that I definitely remember, because I have a different view of money now. So. Mm-hmm.
So there's this need to win, right? So I also feel like, sometimes when we're so caught up in our own truth and our belief, and then you speak to another spiritual person, sometimes, the ego steps in and you want to win and but sometimes it's okay, you have your views, I have my views. So that's when I think it's like religion, the spirituality comes in, and it's so segmented. There's so many other ways. Like some people believe in healing, some people don't. So what's the right way? At the end of the day, like what you said, is your truth. You honor your truth, like what Buddha said. Don't believe anything and everything people say if it doesn't resonate with you, even if it comes from me. So you don't have to accept their truth because it's not yours. But whatever it is, I think the main goal is your relationship with God and how you grow you as a person, as a soul, and that's the key. It doesn't matter whether it's integrative medicine, Reiki, or whatever it is. So tell us more about the work you do. What do you help people achieve in life through your coaching?
Mm-hmm. So I'm a new coach, and what I hope to do with my coaching is to work around energy and energy management. And it's something I can really relate to. It's something that I experienced. So for me, energy has always been something that I thought about, but I didn't realize that it was something that I interacted with every day, because when I first started out with energy work, I didn't really understand or have a concept of energy healing or energy within itself. So, what I hope to help individuals understand their own energy, and so that they can manage utilize their interactions with others to manifest change.
Okay, so tell us more about how energy has changed your life, because you're so passionate about this. Obviously, it has done huge amount of work on you, and you have reaped many rewards. So tell us, how has this energy management helped you in your life or any areas of your life?
Mm-hmm. So for me, when I first started working, or first really acknowledged energy in my life, I realized it had to do with realizing that I was empathic, and that I could feel other people's energy. And when I realized that, I kind of put it aside, because at first I didn't work with it. So when I started learning about energy systems like auras and meridians and chakras, I realized that I had been with my energy when I do energy work, when I talk to people, because when you interact with people, you are also interacting with them energetically. So, if an argument, you have an argument with someone, it really drains your energy. You become ungrounded. So that for me is something that I really in terms of even having other people argue. Like I would lose my ability to kind of take it away because I was experiencing anger or their loss of energy. So that is where my experience with energy began. Um, it's how I realized that if you know how to work with your own energy, you know how to ground yourself, aware of your body, your energy, then you're able to focus within yourself and not have others really take away your energy and not have any of your own energy or to have hopes and dreams, because I feel like that's something keep themselves energetically and very grounded. They don't, since they don't manage their energy, that's when they feel drained and they start feeling depressed. Like they can't do anything with their lives.
All right, so do you have any tips for us before you go to help us manage our own energy so that we can pursue our dreams, our hopes, and live life with a clear energy channel? Because a law of attraction states like attracts like, right? So most people think you just and sit and you attract what you desire, but it's actually all you're feeling. It's from the emotion. So keeping a clear channel of energy is so important, and that's key to success, really. So do you have any strategies for us to basically on a daily basis to keep our energy clean and positive?
So I think the most important thing is to be grounded, to learn grounding techniques, because with grounding you form the foundation, and you basically center yourself in your body, keep your own energy yourself, and become aware of other people's energy, and you begin to learn that your energies are your own, other people's are their own, that you can separate yourself from any negativity and will affect your own energy. So I think being grounded and staying within your source is probably the most important. I struggle with it still, but learning how to ground myself has been one of the ways I've to be better in my work and what I hope to do and accomplish.
All right, so thank you, Karrol, so much for your time. It's been really an eye-opener to hear that Reiki, and it's so comforting to know that Reiki, the alternative practices, are now slowly and beginning to be accepted in the medical field. And I think we cannot deny any therapy that works for people. As long as it works, it heals people. There shouldn't be a segregation between science, alternative medicine, or whatever it is. Both are equally important. Because like an x-ray, you can't do x-ray over the spiritual therapies or the therapies. You need an x-ray machine, so that's as scientific as you can get. But at the same time, it's all about your mindset, whatever it is. So it is about a combination of everything. We're not saying that spirituality is superior over science, or science is more powerful over spirituality. No, it's not. It's just a way of life. You do whatever it takes to get yourself to a healthy level. You do whatever it takes to be successful. And as what Karrol says, the most important thing is to be grounded. I see so many people, they're either too airy-fairy or they're just too grounded. But too much of one or the other is just not good, because remember, as Chinese say, there is this the yin and the yang, feminine and masculine. Everything must come in a balance. So same thing, science is the masculine side, the spirituality is the feminine side. So when you blend two together, that's what the results are, basically what we're after. So either one, it's not, it's not good. One is not a better than the other. So thank you so much, Karrol, for your time. This is Elise, and I hope to catch up with you and speak to you really soon. And thank you so much. See you again very soon.
Bye. Thank you.